DEADZONE Rogue just dropped on PS5 and honestly, it surprised me more than I expected. Not because it reinvented roguelites overnight, but because it managed to hook me in moments where I thought I'd seen this formula 1,000 times. And trust me, I don't throw surprised around lightly. I've edited FPS trailers, worked inside the industry for a decade, and logged thousands of hours testing shooters. So when something sneaks up on me, that's worth paying attention to. Now, let's be real, roguelites often end up as hop in, kill 20 minutes, bounce kind of games. Fun loops, sure, but rarely revolutionary. And DEADZONE Rogue didn't have a massive hype train or AAA promises attached to it. On paper, expectations were modest. Honestly, I went in braced for another cookie cutter time sink. But the moment to moment gunplay caught me. The runs felt alive, the systems tied together more sharply than I thought they would. It didn't just chew up spare minutes, it demanded another round, and then another, and then another. That's where DEADZONE Rogue had me leaning forward. Here's where things twist. The real magic didn't show up until I roped in a few random players. Suddenly, the chaos amplified, augments started bouncing off each other, and it felt less like random dungeon run and more like a living arcade session. That's when I realised solo fun is one thing, but co-op is where this game cashes its checks. But why does co-op hit harder? And is solo even worth your time? That's the question I couldn't shake. Here's the deal. Solo in DEADZONE Rogue is fine. You pick your augments, blast through enemies, clear rooms. It scratches the roguelite itch, but it never breaks out of decent treadmill territory. Runs can start to blur together when you're alone. You know the vibe, same rhythm, predictable flow, a bit too quiet. Then you bring in more players. That's when DEADZONE Rogue wakes up. Fire builds stack with void builds, someone freezes a corridor while another blasts it to bits, and suddenly it's less about grinding through mobs and more about improvising around each other's chaos. It's messy, loud, and the good kind of unpredictable. To the game's credit, the menus make hopping into matches painless. No obtuse lobby systems here. That said, I wish I had a one-click matchmaking button. Sometimes you don't want to fiddle around, you just want to boom, I'm in a run! It's close, but not quite frictionless. The point is, DEADZONE Rogue feels designed to breathe in multiplayer. The augments, the enemy density, the revive system, all of it seems tuned for group synergy. You can technically enjoy it solo, but the game is practically begging you to team up. So yeah, for $20, co-op alone sells the replayability. But here's the real test for any roguelite. Once the novelty fades, do you actually want to come back again and again? That depends on how much the progression system keeps you invested. Co-op chaos is great in moments, but long term, a roguelite lives or dies by its progression, and that's where things get interesting. DEADZONE Rogue doesn't skimp on progression. Between permanent unlocks, currency sinks, and a fat roster of augments, there's enough to chew on to make every run feel like it's nudging you forward. The elemental builds especially, fire, ice, void, give you that satisfying identity crafting feeling. One run you're freezing enemies in place, the next you're vaporizing them in black holes. It keeps things spicy, and when teammates bring contrasting builds, it gets even better. NPC variety is also a strength early on. The encounters feel fresh out of the gate, with a mix of fodder enemy and mid-tier threats that can genuinely trip you up, if you're careless. It's that classic roguelike rhythm, learning attack patterns, then gleefully exploiting them once you've cracked the code. But, and here's where my enthusiasm dips, the environment starts to feel a little too familiar after a few hours. Layouts blur, biomes lose their punch, and you start to notice repetition in the scenery more than the fights. It doesn't break the loop, but it does nudge you into that, ooh, I've seen this before, headspace, faster than I'd like. Still, I can't deny the replay value. For $20, you're not running out of builds or progression track anytime soon. It's a buffet of systems, and it feeds the compulsion to push one more run. But here's the thing gnawing at me. DEADZONE Rogue nails the roguelite formula, so why does it still stop short of being a must-play? That's where my verdict comes in, I reckon. So here's where I land. DEADZONE Rogue is fun, but it's not revolutionary. It nails the fundamentals of roguelike chaos, especially in co-op, and for $20, that is solid value. If you're already a fan of the genre, you're going to get your money's worth here. But me? I need something extra to sink my teeth into long term. A killer narrative hook, a a bold new mechanic that redefines the genre, DEADZONE Rogue doesn't swing for that fence. It's content to be a really enjoyable time killer, not the roguelite that converts skeptics. And that's fine, as long as you calibrate your expectations. So yeah, DEADZONE Rogue surprised me, but it didn't change my mind about roguelites. It's a solid $20 game, especially with friends, but it's not going to flip the genre on its head. But know this, if there's one thing I care about, it's being honest with you guys. I've spent years editing FPS trailers and testing shooters from the inside, so my goal here is simple: tell you if a game respects your time and money. If you value honest takes like this, stick around. Like, sub, or don't. No pressure. I'm just glad you made it to the end of the video. Just know this though, DEADZONE Rogue is fun, fair for the price, but it won't change your gaming life. But what about you? Do you think roguelites need to innovate? Or is solid chaos enough to keep you coming back? Oh, and by the way, here's a reward for the legends who watch this till the end. A giveaway code is on the screen. The rest of it is in the pinned comment below. Enjoy the lucky's first person.